talk about it. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Camille Bank, and I actually didn't start in a computer science lab or any tech giant or anything. I started as a startup founder, someone who had to figure out how to make technology work for real business problems. And today I wear a couple of hats. I primarily work as a fractional chief AI officer for various companies. And I'm also the author of a book called The CEO's Guide to Generative AI. But none of these roles really require me to be an AI genius. Okay. I also have a ghostwriting agency where I heavily use AI, but it still has my human expertise. And this is really the crucial points that I'm going to drive with this presentation. You know, again, like I said, you don't really have to be an expert. What all my roles require is the understanding of how to bridge the gap between AI's potential and really practical business reality today. And yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about today, because we're essentially living through what I call the great AI fusion, which is a time where, being average almost at AI might just be your greatest professional advantage. And how I get to the conclusion, I'll show you on the next slide. Okay, let's go here. So let me paint you a picture of what's happening right now. I want you to imagine that you're standing at the base of a hockey stick graph that you've seen for exponential curves, and you're about to really experience the curve of explosive upward trajectory. That's exactly where we're at in AI right now. In 2017, for example, only about 20% of companies were using AI in their operations. Now, keep in mind when I mention all those numbers, it really depends on what we're meaning when we're saying AI. There's very in almost like subconscious levels of AI that we've been all using for a very long time, but we don't know about it. And they're kind of like intertwined in this. I have a couple of numbers. I can give you uh, the studies that I referenced here at the end of it. Whoever is interested in it can contact me. I can send you the material. But that's how those numbers come together. So, like I said, in 2017, there was about 20% of companies that were using AI in their operations. And today, that number has exploded to 72%. And here's what's even more striking. Over 82% of companies are either actively using or exploring AI. So that's a huge coverage over the market. That's really exponential transformation. And these numbers only tell a part of the story. What's really remarkable in my opinion, is where this adoption is happening. We're not just seeing this in Silicon Valley or among tech giants. The biggest increases are actually occurring in traditional industries. Professional services have seen the largest jump. There's healthcare in it. I actually read a piece recently where I heard that about 40% of doctors are now using ChatGPT to kind of validate their conclusion on any given topic, which is kind of interesting. I knew that that was going to happen at some point, but I'm surprised it's already happening on such a large scale. And even the retail sector has embraced AI to a large extent. So that's interesting. But what makes this moment unique is that it's not just about technology adoption. It's about a fundamental reimagining of how humans and machines actually work together. Companies aren't just automating tasks, they're more discovering entirely new ways of working. With over 65% of global businesses have adopted AI specifically to reduce manual or repetitive tasks, which then frees their time to focus on more strategic work. In my book that I mentioned earlier, I call this a cognitive force multiplier. I know Jerry Riskin always has an issue with this term. He asked me about it, but that's the term that I coined for that. This isn't just another tech trend, really. It's really more of like a revolution in how we work, and it's happening right now across every industry, every department, and every level of business. So let me show you exactly how this revolution is actually unfolding. But first, let me have a sip of water. All right. So as I work with companies across industries, I definitely seen three distinct waves of AI adoption. and each is offering a unique opportunity for professionals like you. First, we have what I call the takers. Those are generally organizations using off-the-shelf AI solutions. Uh, for example, Alaska Airlines, they're not building a complex AI system from scratch. Instead, they're taking existing technology and applying it really in a smart way to create natural language search capabilities for their travelers. It's not really about reinventing the wheel in this case. It's about knowing which wheel fits your vehicle. Then there are the shapers. Those are companies like Morgan Stanley who recently developed their second generative AI application. It's called AI at Morgan Stanley Debrief. And they didn't build their own AI from the ground up, but instead they collaborated with OpenAI to customize existing technology. Then the result was essentially a tool that perfectly matches their company's voice in summarizing video meetings and drafting follow-up emails. They're taking what exists and molding it to their specific needs. And then finally, as you can see here on the slide, we have the makers. And those are exemplified by companies like even Mercedes-Benz. I don't know if you knew that, but they're building comprehensive systems from scratch where they're infusing AI into everything from their e-commerce platform to their call centers and all the, not even starting about the actual car market, just on the sales side and marketing side. So they're really doing it from the ground up. They're using advanced tools like Vertex AI and even Gemini, I heard, to create personalized marketing campaigns. But here's the interesting part. According to McKinsey, research means that there, according to the research, it says that being a maker doesn't automatically translate to better results. The key insight here is really that success isn't about which wave you're in. It's about how strategically you implement AI in your specific context, okay? You don't need to be in the third wave to create massive value for your organization. You just need to choose the right approach for your situation. So let me show you why this matters for your career. Well, maybe not your career, but somebody's career. Because I don't know. I actually should have asked who's in here, but I kind of know a lot of you guys, so we're all friends here. Okay, so the fusion skill advantage here. Now, here's what I think is really fascinating and where the opportunity for professional lies. According to IBM's latest research, the main barriers um, that companies face with AI aren't what most people expect. Only about a third struggle with technical skills, a quarter with data complexity, and then roughly 23%, another quarter with ethical concerns. And do you notice something there? These aren't really technology problems, they're human problems. And McKinsey has shown in their latest study that something there's something even more striking here. The companies seeing the highest returns from AI aren't necessarily the most technically advanced either. They're the ones that are using AI more strategically across their business functions. These high performers are using AI in an average of three functions, while others stick to maybe one or two. And when I say functions, I mean what type of tasks are you automating, or where are you using it? A chatbot for your customer service could be one function. A certain workflow for your marketing department could be another function. But on average, the highest performers use three functions in AI to automate business processes or just make it more efficient. And here's the key. They're actually succeeding because they understand their business deeply, not because they have the most advanced AI capabilities. So think about it. The software industry is leading AI adoption with 86% incorporation rate. Healthcare isn't far behind with about 60% is what I read. There's like different numbers. And in both cases, the biggest success comes from people who understand their industry first and AI second. And when I say software industry, I don't mean hardcore AI companies, but they obviously can Everything that's being done on a computer today can benefit from AI the most. So that's why they're the highest one. But they're really creating what I call fusion skills. And that's basically the unique combination of domain expertise and AI capabilities. And this is what this presentation was meant to really hone in on. Because this creates a perfect opportunity for you. In every organization right now, there's a massive gap between technical possibility and practical applications. They don't need more AI experts. And I'm saying that as somebody who, I guess some people would call an AI expert, which I don't call myself. They really need people who can bridge this gap, people who understand their business, their department, their specific challenges specifically, and changes over time, and can see how AI can then solve those problems within their organization. That's also why I think that the real adaptation will come from within the companies and not from the outside. So let me show you exactly how to become that person, right? First of all, um, it's all about focus, okay? What I believe is the most powerful strategy for anyone feeling overwhelmed by AI right now, it's just this message. Pick one thing, just one. And here's why it matters. First of all, let's talk about it from a company-wide perspective. According to some of the research that I've done, AI is expected to disrupt 90% of all jobs in the coming decade. That's not just a statistic, it's a wake up call, if you ask me. And then right now, just below half of all employees, which is actually surprising. I thought it would be more. Like 43% of employees feel neutral or negative about AI's impact on their job. The reason why I'm saying it's surprising to me is because every time when I talk about it, people just throw their hands up like, oh my God, we're all going to be out of jobs. But apparently it's not like that alarming to most people just yet. But here's the opportunity hidden in plain sight, in my opinion. The disruption isn't coming even across all tasks. It's concentrating in specific areas. So let me share a couple of examples uh, to show how companies focused on that specific area. The Home Depot, for example, they didn't try to revolutionize their entire business with AI. They built Sidekick, which is a focused application that helps store associate managers um, to manage inventory and keep shelves stocked using vision models. That single focus created massive value in their organization, but it was very narrow. And then WestRock is another example. Their internal audit team took a similar approach when they, instead of trying to become an AI expert in everything, they focused solely on using generative AI to automate parts of their audit processes. And the result, faster, more consistent audits that freed up their team for strategic work. And then IHG hotel chain, hotels and resort, they followed the same principle essentially because they didn't try to transform everything at once. They concentrated on building an AI chatbot specifically for vacation planning through their rewards app. One focus, one clear goal, and significant impact. And guess what? This also applies for you as an employee or an individual on your level. Because what happens oftentimes when people come to me and ask me, Camille, where do I start when it comes to learning about I often tell them, look, the best thing you can do is if you can't do it at work, do it in private, but pick one project um, and then find the best tools to work on it. For me, how I got into this whole thing, believe it or not, I started writing children's books. And I knew I wanted to have a goal. I want to write a nice children's book. And what tools do I use to achieve the goal the fastest, the best way, and all that kind of jazz. So the reason why this approach works is because yes, there's a huge wave of AI news every day. Trust me, it's hard for me to keep up, and I'm in it 24/7. And so when you limit your perspective on very specific narrow task, at least you have like a guiding star that pulls you in a certain direction, and then you can just pick the tools that apply to you. Everything else is just icing on a cake. So, um, Let me share some numbers. So here, this is the AI guru. Okay, I want you to become that guy, by the way. I want to share with you some numbers that will show you how big this opportunity is. Right now, 65% of global businesses are using AI simply to reduce manual tasks. Now, think about it. Most companies are barely scratching the surface of what's possible. And the market is responding dramatically to even these basic implementations. In just the first 4 months of 2023, which is last year, obviously, if you're looking at this in the future, JP Morgan analysts actually reported that the market cap grew by $1.4 trillion dollars and corporate profits jumped by 45%, driven primarily by interest in generative AI. Now, you can attribute that to many different factors, and it's all not just straight cut. It's a very quickly developing field, and a lot of people are investing in the future. But it's something to, it's definitely a number not to take lightly. And like I said again, it's not about a new technology. It's really about business transformation. And here's where I think it gets really interesting for us. The biggest challenge isn't implementing AI, it's defining where and how to apply it effectively. This is where you come in as what I call the AI catalyst in your organization, or like I am like a fractional CAIO, Chief AI Officer. Being an AI catalyst isn't about knowing everything about artificial intelligence. It's about understanding enough to see opportunities in your area of expertise. It's about being the bridge between technical possibility and practical application. Essentially, the go-to person that's uh, in the organization that can keep an eye out on the market and see, oh, look, this is what might be interesting to apply in this team or in that team. So try to become that person if you think that's something that's interests you. Because think about it. You already know your department, your process, your challenges. That knowledge, combined with even a basic understanding of AI capabilities, makes you incredibly valuable. Because while companies can hire AI experts, they can't really hire people who understand their specific businesses and the context within those businesses overnight. It always takes a long time. So the other way is much faster. Okay. Here I have kind of like a brief 90-day plan if you wanted to take action today, which is I would like you to do. Um, but let's just go over it really quickly. So this is the roadmap that let's just go it. It's not really theoretical. It's really based on patterns that I've seen in companies achieving really high returns from AI adoption. And again, maybe you could convince somebody in your organization to do that as well. In weeks 1 and 2, you'll basically identify your focus area, look at where you spend most of your time, what tasks are repetitive, where do you see the most friction. There's some research that shows that high-performing companies excel by focusing first on areas with clear and immediate impact. So try to find those. You already know your domain. Use that knowledge to spot those opportunities. Now, week 3 and 4 are about research, but not broad, unfocused research. Study specific AI solutions in your chosen area from weeks 1 and 2, and then look at similar organizations and how they're using AI. The data really shows that companies successfully implementing AI spend this time understanding specific use cases rather than technical details. So study your competition if you can somehow. In your second month, start small, but start strong. The companies seeing the highest returns on AI, I need to come up with a shorter phrase for that. Those are essentially attributing more than 10% of their EBITDA to AI. All started with focused pilot projects. See the pattern there? It's all about focus. Document everything. That's important too. What works, what doesn't work, and what surprises you. Your third month is about sharing and expanding influence. There's research that shows that high performers are twice as likely to embed their learnings early in development processes and then share your knowledge offer to help others and build that internal network of people who are willing to try those new workflows or tools and just get an interest in that. And then let me show you where that journey leads. Hopefully, unless we face some catastrophe. The numbers really tell that there's an extraordinary story ahead. The global AI market is projected to reach 1.85 trillion by 2030, growing at a roughly 40% rate annually. But here's what's truly fascinating. AI adoption has more than doubled in most business functions over just the past year. But the real story isn't the technology departments. The biggest increases are happening in marketing, sales, and product development. Why? Because these are areas where human expertise and AI capabilities create something more powerful together than either could achieve alone. This is what I call essentially fusion skills. And think about it. High-performing companies are using AI in an average of 3 business functions, as mentioned before, while others average 1 or 2. But these leaders aren't just implementing more AI. They're creating new ways of working, and these ways combine human judgment with AI capabilities. They're not really replacing human expertise, they're augmenting it. And then my last slide here, I know I've been talking a lot. I want to show you how to take your first steps in that direction as an individual. I want to leave you with 3 powerful steps, okay, that emerge from all the research and the examples that we've discussed here, or I talked about in my monologue. First, you don't need to be an AI expert. The data shows that the most successful AI implementations aren't driven by technical expertise alone. They're driven by people who understand their businesses and can spot opportunities for AI to create real value in their organization. Second, start with one focus area. Remember, the majority of global businesses are using AI just to reduce manual tasks. There is so much more potential waiting to be unlocked, and you can be the one to unlock it in your area of expertise. And third, the AI revolution isn't coming, it's already here. And it's not about replacing human expertise, it's about augmenting it. Your opportunity isn't really to become an AI expert. It's really to become an AI catalyst, someone who can bridge the gap between possibility and practical application. The future is waiting for you to shape it, so please start today. Thank you. That's it. I hope you guys have some questions. If you want to connect with me, I'm always here with David or on LinkedIn. And that's that. Was my microphone on?
Awesome. Could you turn your mic on, Camille? I think we're ready to start. No,
Yeah.
that was great.
Ready whenever you are, Mr. DeMille.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? We're going to do a set of breakout rooms to discuss some of it too and come back, and there'll be more Q&A. But does anybody have any initial thoughts? Dan?
Yeah, so Camille, first of all, thank you for doing that. It was really interesting. I do a lot of McKinsey research and all the different things, so good to know we're in the same boat. So here's my feeling that what's going on with AI right now is what I call process procedure to outcome. And that's the easy part of automating with AI. What I'm really more interested in is maybe second generation, which is we move from left brain to right brain, and we get a lot more creative about ways of imagining our businesses in ways that move us beyond what I'm going to call. So I believe in the domain expertise you're talking about, but where I really see the transition coming is a workforce who's compliant, do as you're told, park your brain at the door, don't ruffle feathers. The real opportunity, I think, in second generation is how do I reimagine this business in ways that my competitors won't? And I think McKinsey is showing that companies that are starting on that are outpacing their peer group by about 40%, which is really significant. So I'm wondering if you have some view a little bit further on than sort of the
Yeah, but although I totally agree with you, and it's so funny that you mentioned that. What I'm going to say is a little bit more on the technical side rather than the creative side, but which I agree, and I would love to research a little bit more and discuss with you more. But I just posted this video today on LinkedIn, which I recorded 2 years ago on AI in the fragrance industry. Because I got prompted by LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn asks you on your opinion on stuff, and they were asking about how data analysis can help you find new opportunities in your business. And that reminded me of that video that I made about fragrance and AI, because the way they used AI for many years now in the fragrance industry is to identify so-called white space in fragrance creation. And I've seen that across other industries as well. And I think from again, this is very technical. It's not on the unlocking the right brain side so much, but I definitely see some analogies there where you can use AI, prompt it in a certain way, collaborate with AI as an expert, and then find white space for new business opportunities in your domain, right? So absolutely true. And I think actually that's one of the best ways to use AI today, because essentially AI is really good at pattern recognition. So yes, I totally agree with you. Would love to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, because my feeling is that the larger corporations, the way they make money is not so much through organic growth, it's through merger and acquisition, right? To have accretive earnings, because they literally have systems that don't allow much for innovation. And I think with the AI opportunity, if the system doesn't change and how they communicate reward and incent doesn't change, I think AI is not going to have its upside. And I think the companies who figure that new business system, that right brain creativity and innovation, they're just going to way outdistance legacy kind of companies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we shall see.
So
Would love
much
to talk more with you
opportunity.
about it.
Totally. Right. If you think about just the transition to the PC and the transition to the web, and but now just it's just so much quicker, but a lot of similarities. Anyone else before we go into breakout rooms? Okay, well, Camille's given us a lot to think about. I put a survey in the chat, so please fill that out. Give us some feedback. Let's discuss some of these things, and then we'll come back and we'll do a wrap up on this. And we'll have more time for Q&A.